Hello YouTube, this is Corbin22 here, back with another 100 point squadron build for Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures. Tonight's build I've done a little bit of tweaking with. This build is a pre-existing build that I've made. Or rather, it's a pre-existing build of a pre-existing build that I kind of borrowed off. It's the Rogue Squadron build that I took from last time, the first video I made. Only the difference is I've swapped out a ship. Instead of having Hobby Clivian, I've chosen Tycho Celchu in his RZ-1 A-Wing Interceptor. The reason for this is because I've noticed there's a bit of a flaw with well, not so much of a flaw, it's just something that I've noticed. In some regard, Tycho's ability works better with in conjunction with the Rogue Squadron builds than Hobbies, and here's why. With the Veteran Instincts card, West's pilot skill goes up to 10, and Hobbies is at 9. And then after that, if there's any pilot skill ships, enemy ships with pilot skills that come before Hobby, then he's pretty much left in the dust. So what I've done is I've switched out Hobby, even though his ability is really good. Like, his ability makes it so that if you spend or acquire a lock, you can get rid of a stress, which is great. Because with what I have loaded out for him, he gets a lock on, he uses the ability, and then because he spends a lock on, he gets rid of the stress that the ability causes. So, with that being said, let's move on to the stats. So, the build is pretty much the same as last time. I've made a few adjustments to it. Again, using the pre-existing build from before. So we'll start off with the first ship in the build. This one is Wes Janson, as you already know. He has a pilot skill of 8. He flies the Incom T-65 X-Wing fighter. He has an attack value of 3, an agility value of 2, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 2. He can take on the Focus and Lock-On action. He costs 29 squadron points. And he's also able to take on the Elite Pilot talent, the Warhead, and an Astromech upgrade. His ability states, after you perform an attack, you may remove one Focus, Evade, or Blue Target Lock token from the defender. So by itself, this ability is pretty damn good. It makes it so that after he attacks, if the opponent has not spent any token, like say the opponent has a Lock-On and a Focus, and he used the Focus to try and evade Wes Janson's attack. That means he's spent the Focus, but he still has that lock-on, and Wes's ability strips him of that lock-on, making the target pretty much naked. However, the bulk of this build is dealing out. The bulk of Wes Janson's build is to deal out as much stress as possible. However, in order for Wes Janson to fully take advantage of this ability, he has to go before Wedge, because Wedge Antillies has a pilot skill of 9, as Wes has a pilot skill of 8, so Wedge would move last and attack first. We need to make Wes move last and attack first. So, to fix this, I've given him Veteran Instincts. And Veteran Instincts increases your pilot skill value by 2, so that turns Wes Janson from a level 8 pilot to a level 10 pilot, allowing him to move last and attack first. That's crucial in order to make this build work. For his Warhead, I've given him Flechette Torpedoes. They have an attack value of 3, and they can only be used at range 2 to 3. And they state, discard this card and spend your target lock to perform this attack. After you perform this attack, the defender receives 1 stress token if its hull value is 4 or lower. So, with Flechette Torpedoes, even if the attack misses, if the opponent's hull value is 4 or lower, they will still get stressed, which is awesome. And if the Flechette Torpedoes hit and they reduce the enemy's the target's hull value to 4 or lower, that will also cause them distress. So one way or another, if it misses, if it hits or misses, if the hull value is lower than 4 or 4 or lower, then the opponent is going to receive a stress. And then for his Astromech, I've given him R3A2. And his ability states, if I can just get him to focus, his ability states, When you declare the target of your attack, if the defender is inside your fire arc, you may receive 1 stress token to cause the defender to receive a stress token. So see what happens here? Wedge Janson moves in for the attack. He uses R3 with Veteran Instincts. He'll move last in attack. With Veteran Instincts, he will attack first. And then he'll use R3A2's ability to, while he gets a stress, the opponent will get a stress. And then Flechette Torpedoes will cause the opponent to receive even more stress, regardless of hits or misses, as long as their hull value is below 5. However, it's also very advantageous if the Flechettes do miss, because in reality you kind of want them to miss. Because with the Munitions Failsafe upgrade modification given him, it makes it so that if I'm attacking with a secondary and I miss, I keep the secondary. So that basically means I can keep spamming my Flechette Torpedoes, and as long as I keep missing, I'll still deal out the stress, but I won't lose the Flechettes until they actually do make a direct hit. So with that build, Wes is pretty damn deadly. And now, thanks to his ability as well as these upgrades, he not only deals lots of stress out, but he also strips the opponent of their lock-ons and countermeasures, which allows Wedge Antillies to move in for the kill. Wedge Antillies has a pilot skill of 9. He also flies the Incom T-65 X-Wing. He has a attack value of 3, an agility value of 2, a hull value of 3, and a shield value of 2. He can take on the focus and lock-on actions. He costs 29 squadron points. And he's like Janson, he's also able to take on the elite pilot talent, a warhead, and a Astromech upgrade. And his ability states, when attacking, reduce the defender's agility value by 1 to a minimum of 0. That ability there makes Wedge practically a bomber and a freighter killer. Because most bombers and freighters, like say the VT, like say the YT-1300 or the YT-2400 or even the Slave 1, I think the Slave 1, they all have agility values of 1. And when Wedge is attacking, regardless of their range, they are going to lose that agility value, which makes them unable to evade, unless of course Wedge is attacking at range 3, in which case the agility bonus will cancel out Wedge's ability. So when attacking with Wedge, it's best to attack at range 2 to 1, preferably at range 1. Because not only will they lose an agility value, Wedge will gain an additional attack dice because of the attack value granted at attacking at range 1. It makes this even more deadly thanks to this new card I've given him, called Opportunist. Opportunist states, when attacking, if the defender does not have any focus or evade tokens, you may receive 1 stress token to roll at 1 additional attack die. You cannot use this ability if you have any stress tokens. So see what I've done here? By giving Wedge Janson Veteran Instincts, he's able to deal double stress to his opponent with his attacks, and he's also able to strip their opponents of their lock-ons and their focuses or evades. Hopefully their focuses and evades. And with those countermeasures stripped, Wedge moves in, hopefully attacking at range 1. He uses Opportunist, which grants him that additional attack dice at the cost of a stress. Add to the fact that he'll be attacking at range 1, which gives him another dice value, will make his total attack value of 5. Added to the fact that the enemy's agility value also be reduced thanks to his ability, Wedge's attacks are pretty much guaranteed to hit, provided you get some pretty good rolls. Now, the one problem about this particular card is that it deals your pilot stress. And the only way to get rid of stress is either with a ship ability or with green maneuvers. So to help with that, the X-Wing can only take about 4 green maneuvers. So to help with this, I've given Wedge an R2 Astromech. And this states you may treat all 1 and 2 speed maneuvers as green maneuvers. So what this allows, with this Astromech droid, it turns all of Wedge's 1 and 2 speed maneuvers into green maneuvers, which will make it easier for him to get rid of all that stress, get rid of the stress that he's acquired thanks to Opportunist. And by using this upgrade, it gives Wedge 4 more green maneuvers to use, which will allow him to stay on his opponent's tail or keep them within his line of fire, while also constantly getting rid of the stress that Opportunist provides. Now to the last card I've given him. I've swapped out for this build ship. I swapped out Hobby's X-Wing, and instead I put in Tycho Celchu. Tycho Celchu has a pilot skill of 8. He flies the RZ-A1 he flies the RZ-1 A-wing interceptor. He has an attack value of 2, an agility value of 3, a hull value of 2, and a shield value of 2. He can take on the focus, lock-on, boost, and evade actions. He costs 26 squad points, and he's able to take on the elite pilot talent and the concussion missile upgrade. And his ability states, you may perform actions even while you have stress tokens. So that makes Tycho a dangerous ship. This makes Tycho a very unique ship and a very useful one at that. And it'll also probably piss off your opponents as well, because normally stress prevents you from using your actions. With Tycho, even if he's stressed, he can have like 1,000,000 stress tokens on him. He'll still be able to perform a boost, lock-on, focus, or evade action, which is great. However, if you decide to stress him out, he will still not be able to perform red maneuvers. So if you want to get rid of that stress and perform another red maneuver, you're going to have to get rid of that stress before you do so. However, thanks to Tycho's because Tycho is flying an A-wing, those ships are built for speed. So a lot of his maneuvers, even his straight ahead speed 5 maneuver is a green maneuver. So this will allow him to, say he performs a K turn at speed 5 or 3. He gets stressed, or rather no, say he performs a K turn at speed 3 or 5, and he gets stressed. The next turn he can perform a speeds 1. He can perform a straight ahead speed 2 to 5, which are all green maneuvers. Stay on his opponent's tail and get rid of that stress. It makes the A-wing a very tricky ship to deal with, because again, it's all about speed, and it's especially dangerous if the ship gets behind you. Now, with Tycho, I've also given him the Opportunist card, which allows him to take on 1 stress to roll 1 additional attack die. Now, this card ability works in tandem with Tycho's natural ability, because Tycho can still perform actions even when he's stressed, and because he has lots of green maneuvers to allow him to get rid of that stress whenever he wants, combining Opportunist with Tycho Celchu makes for an even deadlier combo than with Hobby Clivian, and giving him R2D6, which allows him to take on an elite pilot talent upgrade, and then give him Opportunist after that. I mean, granted, it's a formidable build, but I believe that with Tycho, it makes the build even more powerful, because Tycho's natural ability pretty much negates stress when it comes to using abilities. And Tycho can also just take on can just pretty much choose any green maneuver he wants, and he'll still be able to keep up with his opponent, and be able to, attack them as close as he wants to, without bumping them and relieving that stress that he's got from Opportunist or red maneuvers like K-turns. So this is my kind of I would say this is my Rogue Squadron Mark II build, and its strengths are pretty obvious. Like with the last build, this build is focused entirely on synergy. So with Wes Janson, thanks to his veteran instincts, he goes in first. He deals stress to his opponent with R3A2 at the cost of getting a stress himself, and then he uses Flechette Torpedoes to deal even more stress into his opponent. And thanks to Munitions Failsafe, even if he misses, as long as the opponent has a hull value of 4 or lower, they'll still get stressed. And he'll also keep the Flechettes, allowing him to use them over and over again. And then once they're stressed, and then of course after that, any focus or evade tokens that have not been resolved, Wedge's ability removes them. And with those countermeasures removed, Wedge Antillies can move it. Both Wedge Antillies and Tycho Celchu can move in for the kill, because Wedge and Tycho both have the Opportunist card, which allow them to receive a stress each and give them 1 additional attack die. And Wedge's ability allows him to decrease his opponent's agility value by 1, which is especially useful against bombers and heavy freighters like the Millennium Falcon or the VT-49 Decimator. And then, of course, with the R2 Astromech, it turns pretty much more than half of his maneuvers into green maneuvers, allowing him to stay on his opponent's tail and get rid of the stress that Opportunist provides. Now, like I said, I've swapped out Hobby for Tycho because Hobby has a pilot skill of 5, which means that any enemy ship that has a pilot skill of 8, 7, or 6 will be able to attack first, and will probably either go after Wedge, Hobby, or Wes Janson, depending on who's closest or who's the most damage. With Tycho, that kind of resolves that problem, because Tycho has a pilot skill of 8. So that basically means that all 3 guys will be able to attack their target in descending order. allowing them to deal massive damage and hopefully take out their target in one fell swoop. So that's the strength of this build, is that the fact that their pilot skills go in descending order allows them to attack one after the other, unless, of course, the opponent has initiative and they have like a pilot skill of 9 or 8, in which case they would go first. This build's weaknesses are even more apparent, because the biggest flaw in this build is that the X-Wings cannot take that much damage. They have a hull value of 3 and a shield value of 2, which makes for a total of 5 hits each. So if they take more than 5 damage, they're done. With Tycho, that's made even worse, because Tycho, while he has a higher agility value than the X-Wings, he has a hull value of 2 and a shield value of 2. He can only take on... He has the same hit points as a TIE Phantom and all the Z95s. So that basically means that he can only take... He takes 1 less hit than the X-Wing, so he's more liable to get shot down. Which, of course, any skilled, veteran player of X-Wing, if they see Tycho, chances are they're probably going to go after him first because he's weak and his ability makes him a nuisance. So anyway, this is my Rogue Squadron Mark II build. Feel free to leave a comment, and if you let me know what you think in the comments below. Any constructive criticism, I greatly appreciate it. If you like, you may use this build in a competitive or casual play, or if you like, you can customize this build or completely revamp it to your own specifications. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this build. I hope this was very informative. This is Cobra 22 signing off.